You're listening to Beyond Insights, your go-to podcast for all things accounting, business, and technology.
From cybersecurity and AI innovations to sustainability and work-life balance, we've got you covered.
We host insightful guests from different backgrounds, industries, and locations all around the world.
From this diversity of thought, we aim to find solutions to some of our most pressing business problems.
Thank you for tuning in. Let's dive right in and go beyond insights.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Beyond Insights. I'm Alex Hoffman, Swift's Engagement Manager, and today I'm joined by Kabir Thakor, whose surname I had to make sure I was pronouncing correctly, who is the National Partner Growth Manager at Nagging Panda. And we're going to be discussing how bridging the technological skills gap can help to alleviate poverty, which is obviously a very big topic for a 30-minute podcast. But it's something that we're really passionate about and are really keen to get into. So thank you for joining us.
Alex, thank you so much for having me. Thank you for allowing me to, add some insights and inspiration towards this topic. As I mentioned, to you previously, this has been something a part of my life for a very long time. It hasn't just started. It has been imbibed every single day. I wake up and find new ways or ideas or collaborate with people, share knowledge on how are we actually going to make an impact to not reduce poverty but increase employment. Because for me that's a massive difference, the way you are looking at it. If you're trying to reduce unemployment, you're looking at the problem, and if you're trying to increase employment opportunities, you're looking at a solution. So it's about the mindset shift. It's about that. It's about compassion. It's about, giving back. It's about philanthropy, all of those that I'm very passionate about. And of course, I love it when people win. So when people get employed, when people find new skills and apply them and make money from it, that makes me happy as an individual. So I'm going to begin by just, introducing my background and where I'm from. And I was actually born in the UK. Funny enough, my mom and dad got married in the UK. My mom, so she was born in Malawi, a country that is in Africa, a very small country, got a beautiful lake. And as a child, I had the opportunity of growing up there. And that was where I first started to understand what poverty looks like. Because I believe that in South Africa, we haven't led to that stage yet. We are so blessed as a country. If you have to visit other African countries, you'll realize the infrastructure, the opportunity, the development and growth opportunities here available to us are at scale. There's something that I will discuss in this interview that will hopefully inspire individuals to understand this is what needs to happen. But, then I went on to, obviously, my schooling. I did schooling in Malawi as well, which has a massive impact. And I'll tell you why. The schooling in Malawi and the schooling in South Africa were on two completely different levels. The schooling in Malawi was followed by a GCSE syllabus, which is UK, Cambridge, and in South Africa we had brought in OBE, which I don't know how it went. I really don't know how the outcomes-based education model went. But I then went into tertiary education. I then started my career in retail, believe it or not. So all of this boils down to where I started. Retail, I started at the very bottom. I started as a receiving manager, just receiving goods in the retail store. Worked my way up year after year and eventually grew to assistant store manager, grew to store manager. So I developed so many skills by upskilling myself. Remember, I did not have to go and get a diploma, education or degree I had to just upskill myself. Watch, learn, apply, develop the skill. So from there, I then eventually bought my own business. It was a takeaway business where I ran for 2 years. It was such an unbelievable experience, having your own business, employing people, knowing you have to pay people a salary, knowing you have to, different experience for me, but it was great and I enjoyed it. I then decided, the takeaway is not for me. I'm not going to be cooking in a kitchen. I can't scale this. So it's always been in the back of my mind, how do I scale it? And I couldn't scale that. So I took a big risk and I stepped into the SaaS industry. And that's where I started realizing that all of these moments of impact that have happened in my life where I've experienced or witnessed poverty, I realized the link between technology and poverty alleviation, and how that can actually bridge the skills gap or speed up the rate at which technology can alleviate poverty. So now, so that's basically it. I mean, I've been in the SaaS industry, software as a service, for the last 7 years. And I'm at a company now that I'm delivering exactly the same mission and vision and goals and values that are aligned to my own. So, and that is absolutely. Thank you for that. So that's the introduction of myself, and
So you've made it very clear you are passionate about reducing poverty.
Absolutely.
How do you think that we can make this dream a reality?
So, in my own opinion, and I speak this to many people, and I just discuss, debate, collaborate, but we've basically need to understand the difference between an education and upskilling. If I have to acquire an education, I acquire a degree, I acquire a certificate on Udemy, on LinkedIn, I acquire an education, but it means nothing if I cannot take it and apply it into technology, or use it, apply it in tech, and develop the skill. So that we need to understand the difference between acquiring an education and upskilling is that upskilling is the application of the theoretical knowledge you have obtained from the education. So we need to know that getting your education is not the goal. It's how to use that education to upskill yourself to make a difference. And, taking ownership as individuals. We have for too long relied on government, we've relied on private sector, we've relied on everyone else to come and say, hey, here's an opportunity. We have to take ownership and as individuals ourselves, whether you're employed, unemployed, whether you're a business owner, accounting firm owner, to develop skills from tech platforms that are available. Now, in South Africa, we have access to YouTube. I'll give you a quick example. In the year 2016, just a spark of interest, I had absolutely no idea about what I was doing, but what I was trying to attempt. I developed a skill in 3 hours. I literally watched a 1-hour YouTube video on how to develop a website. I made notes on it. I took those notes and I applied it within WordPress and 2 plugins, Elementor and Astro Pro, and I developed a beautiful looking website. And that for me was like, this is unbelievable. Yeah. I can learn for free. Or, nothing's for free in life. There's no such thing as a free life or a free lunch. But yes, I developed a skill by watching a YouTube educational video. So, there's taking ownership, which is big. But what we need to look at as a broader scheme of things is how can we develop skills as fast and as quick as possible to outsource these skills to the rest of the world? We have the educational, the competency levels of there. We have, SAICA is number 1 in the world in terms of our chartered accountants. It is there. So we don't have a problem with the level of, or especially post-tertiary, we don't have that issue. How do we take that and scale that to the rest of the world so that we can outsource labor? Outsourcing labor through technology to the rest of the world will increase employment opportunities for South Africans.
And it's definitely something that there's a demand for when so many other countries like the United States and the UK as well, they have a shortage of accountants. They're really looking to find qualified people. It's really an opportunity that we should be seizing.
No, we should take every single opportunity we can find and market ourselves strategically so we can position ourselves to match what they're looking for in terms of labor. But nothing is stopping us, Alex. Nothing is stopping an individual from going onto YouTube or going onto an accounting software tech platform that provides free certifications, allows you to open up free trials, allows you to apply the certification knowledge into the free trial, or your educational knowledge from varsity allows you to apply it within a free trial, see how that goes. Nothing's stopping us from that. So it's a big thing, it's a big point that you raised. But one of the other things I wanted to actually say is that one of the major things we need to do as a nation is we need to drive compassion. We have to have compassion. We need to understand that we might be in an economic depression in South Africa. Although it seems like consumer spending is on the rise, it does seem like things are starting to positively lift up slowly, but we must drive compassion, and we're all climbing the same mountain together. So instead of competing with one another, collaborate. That's one of the best ways I can think of.
Yeah, we've got to find a way that we can work together, because we can only really solve this problem as a community.
As a community and with collaboration, absolutely.
So where do you think that accountants and business owners can start?
So, speaking from the ground up, education is one of the most important things in every single country. We know education. When I say education, my perception on education is going through schooling, etc., etc. But I always like to use the word upskilling, because I've been to countries like Malawi and India. In India, you don't necessarily have to go to school, but if you can develop a skill to feed yourself, you are doing something. Yes. Although they might not use technology, there might be different industries, farming, for instance. Yes, it's possible. You can actually do that. But business owners need to start taking the risk. And, the thing about risk is, because technology has rapidly increased in the last 3 to 4 years, and it might have stemmed from COVID, we don't know. But in the past, the technology graph is on a very straight line inclination. It's basically just curved. It's done such a massive increase in the pace of which technology is changing. So the issue we're facing is how are these businesses managing to still stay afloat and survive from a global landscape? South African businesses. My dream is for South African businesses to take your product and your services to the rest of the world. Yes. Nothing is stopping us. So in that instance, historically, we have to look at history. My grandfather stayed in Malawi when I was young. And he was a very well known accountant, ACCA qualified. He actually did the books for the former president for one of his companies, Dr. Hastings Kamuzu Banda. My grandfather was one of his accountants that did work for him. And my grandfather was very meticulous in how he did his accounting. But I watched him write in these massive ledger books. Yeah. So we're looking at technology now and the landscape of how it's changed. Writing in books, watching my grandfather go through to typewriters, and that's where he stopped. But then the rest of South Africa, or wherever you are in the country, in the world, moved to computers. Yes. And then from computers, it moved to AI. Or cloud, first cloud, yeah. And now we're at AI. And this is historically telling us technology has always enabled job opportunities. Yes. It's always enabled people. And that's where I think the importance of businesses and accountants need to start with. They need to also realize like becoming more efficient, change is going to be inevitable. So also going back to risk. If you don't take the risk, if you do not take that first step and say, right, I'm going to start now, it's going to cost you more in the future, because it's going to take you longer to now learn. Yes. So taking the risk now, you could lose 50% or you could win at 50%. But not taking risk at all, you're destined for 90 to 100% failure in your business in the next 5 to 10 years. So our traditional systems, schooling systems. Now, when we look at the scope of what is being taught to children in schools in South Africa, and it's unfortunate because our government schools don't have textbooks. Like this is something that I can't speak on too long about, because this topic is on its own. But yes, that's the reality. That's the main challenge. That's one of the main challenges. But also tertiary education, like our traditional schooling systems, we have a traditional schooling system that when our students are leaving matric, they do not have the mathematical and scientific knowledge to actually apply logic within a work environment, problem solving, critical thinking. We've brought in math literacy. I'm not going to downplay it, but I'm not a fan of it. You study mathematics needs to be studied at the highest degree possible, because it builds logic within your brain to understand how technology works.
But I think that's also something that's often not really explained. Like when you're at school, I don't remember anyone saying to me, it doesn't matter if you don't like maths, because I didn't like maths, but it's teaching you how to think logically. And I'm so grateful that even though I struggled with maths, that I battled through it. And I went through all of that to be able to learn that skill. So maybe I'm definitely not going to be a mathematician, but I still think it was so beneficial that I stuck it out and that I didn't take maths literacy. And I think that a lot of people are missing that opportunity.
Absolutely. Maths literacy, unfortunately, is a disadvantage. It adds no value to the individual to think, to bring logic. And problem solving and critical thinking are high demand skills in any workplace. So, this is, at the same stage, we have to all step in and take action. We have to all try and collaborate with private sector and government. We have to bring inspiration to individuals and businesses to come together and form, do something about this. Form tech centers, fund tech centers, bring it into the rural areas, bring technology there. I am telling you that there is technology available. The other stats. So just to update you, 34 million Facebook users in South Africa. 34 million. That means there are 34 million people in South Africa that know how to use a form of technology. So the point I'm trying to make is, if you're using Facebook or TikTok, and there are 34 million of you, and there's still this crisis of unemployment, it means that your interests are lying somewhere else. And I believe that you need to be self-inspired to be driven to an educational interest where you can or learn a new skill and deploy and learn how to make money that way.
It's again that idea of a mindset shift, moving away from a kind of complacency and woe is me, to what can I do about this? What skills can I learn? How can I find, the resources are out there.
100%. One thing I wanted to mention as well is what business owners and accountants can do, accounting firms in particular, because I know this industry, right? But more small business owners, incentivize or try and bring in a hashtag learn value or culture within your actual business, where you incentivize a person for bringing a new skill into your business. And if it makes your business a better business, if it brings any value and generates more revenue or profits, you incentivize them for it. Maybe give them a small bonus or whatever the case is. And then making sure that if that is rolled out to the rest of the company, you can match their salary. So you must remember, if you do not do that as a small business owner, if your employee has brought a new skill to the business at his own cost, he's going to learn the skill at home, over time, or whatever, in his own time, brought it to the business, shown an improvement in your revenue and profits. He is now adding value to your business. You need to now look after him in proportion to that value that he's added and match the salary. Otherwise, he's going to jump to another. You're going to have a high staff turnover. Absolutely.
If you want to retain your best staff, your staff that are really trying to improve themselves, I think you have to actually acknowledge the work that they put in.
You have to. It needs to be measured and it needs to be rolled out to everybody, because yes, people are inspired by making more money. So, and if you can drive that within small businesses, you are driving a scalable upskilling culture where people are now incentivized, because the business owner at the end of the day is going to benefit. If I'm a business owner and I say to my team of employees, guys, I want the best rate of efficiency for X, Y, Z, or find me how to do this thing quicker. If it works, I'll give you X amount as a bonus. And then if it works and it for over a period of time is generating more revenue, I'm going to increase your salary or whatever. It's just an idea. It's just an idea, suggestion. So
and what do you think are some of the common sort of mindset barriers that you've seen in accountants or small business owners when it comes to upskilling or to moving on to new technology, to learning how to use new technology?
So I really do believe it's a fear of change. Fear of change is like it's there. There's an American saying that everyone is using or has been using for the past 10 years. And that saying is, and I strongly I distance myself from it, but that saying is, if something is not broken, don't try and fix it. But that inspires no innovation. So we are constantly evolving. If technology is moving at such a rapid pace, how do we keep up? And the challenge is fear of change. But business owners must understand that risk is not to be perceived as a cost. It is risk should be perceived as an investment. Because if you look at it as an investment, if you lose, you're learning something.
Yes.
If you lose money, it's fine. You're learning something, so you can always constantly develop. So, absolutely. One other major challenge is accounting practices. Business owners always look at cost of a product or a service as opposed to the value that it brings. Now, initially, it's hard to determine what value you derive if you have to invest. But that boils down to the risk again. Start at baby steps. Take a small risk, but invest in a cost of a product. If the person is telling you your efficiencies will increase and you'll gain more time, with the time you'll create more revenue, that is an opportunity. So looking at cost first versus value. I'll give you a quick example. If I'm a logistics company and I use my car to deliver packages, okay, I'm paying 300,000 Rand for this car. I can deliver from A to B. If I now go and buy a truck, which costs me 1.5 million Rand, I can 10 times my load, but my revenue will be higher. So look at that. That's an example of looking at value first. Yes, I'm paying more for the product, but I'm earning more money. So that is one of the major challenges, is most business owners and accounting firms first look at the cost of something and say, oh, wow, that's too expensive. Yes. Personally, I've literally removed the word expensive from my entire vocabulary. So for me, something is either cheap or it's overpriced. So it's either cheap because it's cheap and I can afford it and good on you, or it's overpriced and I haven't seen the value.
Yes.
So yeah.
But if you can see the value, then it's worth the cost.
Absolutely. Another thing to just touch point of is, I see a lot of business owners that have a lack of inspiration to grow, and this stems from everything. I mean, as I said, we are in that situation where South Africa is facing so many different increases, like tariff increases in electricity. All these other costs are coming into play. We do have an ongoing crisis of electricity, load shedding or power outages. We have to adapt. We have to bring that resilience back into us. We are resilient as South Africans. We are a nation that has been through a hell of a lot. And we can drive those values from the past. We can say, right, bring that inspiration back and make it work, make it happen.
I'm interested, have you noticed any key differences in the mindset of graduates who are entering the workforce versus more established accountants and bookkeepers or business owners?
Yes.
Especially when it comes to technology.
So when it comes to technology, what I've noticed is that there are younger accountants that are coming into the workforce. I'm speaking about younger accountants, but also younger entrepreneurs, yes. Like a few that I've met that I've been inspired by. And they are actually embracing technology. So they are actually saying, I'm gonna actually use this tech tool, or maybe they have more of an understanding of how to use technology. Whereas the older generations are complacent and find no reason to actually say, I need to change or to better or to improve, because they haven't yet seen what risk lies ahead of them, or not risk, maybe the wrong word, or what dangers lie ahead of them in terms of business continuity. How long will the business drive for? It comes from the top as well. Directors need to understand, But yeah, anyway.
Thinking about small businesses in particular, then, we often talk about small businesses as being the backbone of our economy, or words, backbone of our economy. What do you think are some of the key challenges that they face in terms of scaling and scaling sustainably?
So, a very good question. I think we still have to redefine what scalability means for South Africa. That's one of the pointers. We need to understand, I know for a fact, our accounting firms and our business owners don't know the impact of scaling. They don't understand economies of scale and how we can reach the global markets through technology. So that's the one point. Another point is the productivity challenges due to doing things manually. As a business owner, if I am doing things manually, I am using up my most valuable resource, which is time. And time is the one factor that can drive profitability. So I need to understand that, that productivity challenge, it comes in because I'm trying to do things manually. If you cannot, so you're either going to have time or you're going to have money. So if you don't have time, okay, invest the money and get someone to do it for you. If you have the money and you don't have the time, it works both ways. You can either do it yourself or you can get someone else to do it for you. Either way. It's basically that. That's what I can add for those as a suggestion.
How do you think we can sort of reimagine the idea of education to better equip people with the skills that they need in this very tech-driven world?
So we must understand that you don't necessarily, like this is my own personal opinion, you don't necessarily have to wait for something to happen, like to obtain a degree or to first qualify in something or to become a SEMA graduate. You don't have to wait for that to finish in order to upskill yourself because of free information available for you to learn from on platforms. So that's one of the main things that I can think of. You don't necessarily have to wait for that. That's a big one though. That's something that people must understand, that you don't have to wait for that. You can actually log onto YouTube, type in, learning Python. I tried, I just ran out of time. Learning Python, I started learning how to develop web-based applications on Python. I was just like, okay, this is too much for me because the website was cool enough. It showed me how to actually develop a skill. Cool. So yeah.
Yeah, you can learn pretty much anything online.
You can, and that's the enabler, is that the technology is there for you to learn.
Absolutely. You spoke a bit about the ways in which philanthropic projects can help. So having tech centers where you can educate people even in rural areas who maybe don't have access to the same resources. What are some of the other things that you think that maybe the people listening, everyday South Africans, can do to help in terms of educating people and ultimately providing more opportunities for employment?
Somehow I wish, so one thing I would want to happen and see in South Africa is placing secondary or secondary level, when you're in high school, placing those students in touch with university students. So there's a transfer of skills that happen there. Okay. Then placing university students in touch with people that are actually working. So there's a transfer of skills that happen there. That's something that I'd like to see. Like I'd love to see that manifest one day in my lifetime, but it's possible anything can happen. But yes, in terms of philanthropy, we must understand that unless we don't give back, nothing's going to change. And business owners, corporates, government, whoever wants to get involved and make a difference in our employment, the way our employment is performing, we have to come together. We have to make it a vibe, create a positive environment of a tech center. Imagine having a tech center, 20 laptops that have been donated, and these students now have access to actually type or just learn how to log into something, or it would be not too much to ask. Something of a hope that corporates get together and subsidize the cost of internet usage, maybe make it more available to the rural communities, and maybe have it at a subsidized cost, so that we can spend more time on, because I know there are people that suffer that don't have the money to actually buy data or don't have the money for Wi-Fi. That's a major barrier. So yeah, those are the things that I'd like to see. But mostly you must remember, giving something back is always going to bring you something good. So even if it's 10%, if it's 1% of your business that you make, you put into a savings account, and you take that money, and businesses come together and donate that money, give away your old laptops. As individual South Africans, if you've got more than one laptop and you have 3 or maybe 4 old ones, go and give them away. You never know what could happen. Something good could arise of it. You could create an opportunity. You're not really sure of the outcome, but it will be inspiration.
Oh, absolutely. So, like I said at the beginning, a huge topic, and we can't possibly cover everything in this one episode, but I think, it's given me a lot to think about, and it's really encouraging to see the ways that even small things like donating your own laptop can really make a difference, and if we all come together on this, we can have a great impact. So thank you so much for joining me today, Cabs, and thank you everyone who's been watching. We'll see you again next time.
It's an absolute pleasure. I just want to end off with saying, like, if there's anything that I want someone to take away from this, please, there's a movie called The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. And this movie will inspire you to understand how technology can change an entire, it can absolutely inspire you. The movie was released in 2019. It's called The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. Go and watch it, Google it, read up about it. There was a book written about it. And this should inspire you to understand why I've chosen this to be my mission in life.
Awesome, thank you. So now everyone has a bit of homework to go and watch this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Alex and Sift Analytics, for hosting me. And to all the listeners and viewers, I hope you find some inspiration from this. Reach out to me if you want to connect, if you want to share ideas. I'm open. And thank you for the time.
Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in to the Beyond Insights podcast.
Please like and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to right now.
And please share with any of your colleagues or friends or family members that you think might benefit from listening to this podcast.
That's all from us. Until next time, see you then.